Hey folks, it's Chris with Human Project Podcast. In this episode, we're going to dive into these common phrases that we say a lot, but don't often stop and think about what they mean, whether they're helpful, or how it's received and perceived. So if you have what we like to call Christianese phrases or Christianisms that you hear a lot or you want to dive into, email us at info@humanproject.us. I'm really excited for this episode, for this series. Thank you for listening. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate the podcast. We'd love to hear what you like, what you don't like about it, or any other feedback. Email us at info@humanproject.us. That helps us know what's working well. It also helps spread the word and helps with all the algorithms that go into the podcasts by writing it, subscribing to it, and sharing it. If you get value out of these, we'd love to hear that. Let's dive into this episode. Hey, Mark.
Well, hi, Chris.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. I'm blessed. How are you?
I was just going to say blessed. I'm blessed. You know, God is in control.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day outside. We're fellowshipping. Really
right.
Well.
Seems like you're saying a lot of unusual kind of just phrases here, just words that you're just throwing out like crazy.
Yeah. Have you noticed that we as Christians have our own vocabulary? I don't know why I did the air quotes.
I don't know either. I have noticed that.
Here's why I did the air quotes.
Okay.
Because I think these phrases get used a lot by Christians and non-Christians. So there you go. It's this vocabulary that's kind of expanded. Like if somebody were on the outside looking in, like super weird, bro.
Bro. Brother. That's odd.
Brother. Yeah, that's another one. Calling people brother and sister. Yeah. So what I want to walk us through is exploring these Christianese phrases.
Yeah.
Or you can call them Christianisms. Christianese, Christianisms. I don't know what's good or what's
The
not good.
language of Christianity.
Yeah, apart from like the theological
Right.
words like justification, sanctification. My guys' group's walking through propitiation this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Imputation. Yeah, we're going through Romans. So it's got some of those
theological.
very big words. Yeah. But I'm not talking about those big theological words. I'm talking about the things we say every day. Mm-hmm. Or you could also call them like the bumper sticker.
Okay.
Like you say it and walk away.
Gotcha.
Another common one is I'll be praying for that.
Yeah. Like go like God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. God's in control.
Right.
Yeah. All the common ones. And I'm sure, just so we point out our own hypocrisy here, I guarantee you we have said almost all of these at some point during our podcast.
Probably true. Yeah. Probably true. I mean, in a way, having lingo would, I think, be the appropriate linguistic term for this.
I think that's what the cool kids say is lingo.
Lingo just indicates connection. Mm-hmm. And so you would expect that of any community, that they're going to start to have their own words that describe things that are unique to that community. So in a way you go like, cool, that does indicate that we have some connection and some affinity across us as Christians. And I think though that there's also another, shall we say, darker side to this that we probably want to balance that with and just explore a little bit. Yeah,
exactly. I think that's a good call out. So what we're going to do through this is going to be a series. So this is our intro, walking through like, what are the common dangers and things to look out for? What's the good of having this common lingo or language? And then we'll break down phrase by phrase some of the most common ones that you hear within each episode. So it'll probably be a little bit different. We're going to see how this goes. There'll be a little bit shorter of episodes. So our invitation is, let us know what you think. What's resonating with these? What phrases have you heard that you'd like for us to explore?
Yep.
So all of that, email us at info@humanproject.us. But for this episode, let's kind of explore like this totality and this mindset. Like if you think about the absurdity of some of the things we say, like I'm going to pray for that, just how weird that sounds. Or like one that always gets me is this practice, the sacrament of communion. I just imagine like there being somebody in the service for the first time, and if it's just like a normal rite and rhythm for the church, this is your body, this is your blood, you're like, it seems kind of like cultish and weird.
It is unusual.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So it's like all these things that we're used to saying and we have the context for, that when we use them and carry them in a broader sense or with people that are not aware of the context, it can be 1, detrimental, 2, weird, and 3, an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about how we develop this common language. When we go piece by piece for some of these, we'll talk about where some of these are biblically founded, because some are direct quotation of scripture.
Yeah.
Some people think are a quotation of scripture, but are nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Some are just common phrases. Like Jesus take the wheel. They didn't have steering wheels back then, so definitely not from the Bible.
Fair.
Country song, right? Jesus take the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta say it with the twang too.
And you're going to sing it too. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a special episode today.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Very special episode. So I'm curious, what are some common phrases that come to mind or your thoughts when you hear like these Christianese things being said?
Yeah, certainly there's context to them. And that's part of why we're saying them, is we're referring to something in shorthand. It's kind of the same reason we use acronyms a lot of times in business environments.
Yeah. TLAs.
Because we don't want to say the whole thing or whatever. And it's also kind of an insider language too. So when we're using these things, it's indicating if I'm able to say them to you and you understand them, then we belong together. Right?
Funny story on that. So one of our first bonding moments, we were working at the same client together.
Yeah.
And there's this show that was maybe 20 years ago now, maybe longer than that, called 3-2-1 Penguins.
Not the most popular show, even inside of Christian circles.
No, but it was made by the same people that made VeggieTales, which a lot more people, I think, know.
Sure.
But one of the characters in 3-2-1 Penguins was a guy named Kevin. And they would introduce the guy as Kevin. And so we had somebody that was in a mutual class of ours, because we were teaching this together, and we both referred to him as Kevin. And we're like, wait a second. You know that
Did
phrase
you just
too?
say that? Why did you just say it that way?
It's a little bit of a bonding experience, like when you have that same phrase.
Yeah.
So there's a good to that. What other goods or benefits do you see?
There's some connection to it. And just understanding of each other more easily. It just kind of makes conversation smoother.
Yeah.
Intent can be made clearer, those kind of things. I think there's plenty of good reasons why we're saying these things, and good intent as well. I just want to be really clear when we're talking about all these things. I would assume people are using them with good intent. That certainly is my experience for me and the people that are in my circles. We're not trying to say them out of any sort of ill intent. It's just like we usually do here. Like, let's think about them a little bit and let's look at them a little deeper and see if there's something richer and better available for us. Yes.
I think that's a good thing to keep in mind is positive intent with usage. I think there's also, at the same time, even though it could be positive intent, there's let's talk about the dark side of these a little bit. There's also absent intent.
Yeah.
So there's things that we just get used to saying,
right,
but don't actually mean. Like the most common one I can think of is, I'll be praying for that.
Yes. Exactly.
Like that's like your stop all. I have no idea what else to say.
Let's finish this conversation now because I don't know what else to do.
Right.
I'll be praying for you.
We'll explore that one in more depth for sure.
Right.
But I think that's very common with some of these. Like our intent is our own comfort. We say something that we think is going to either stop the conversation, park the conversation, while at the same time showing that we're compassionate or we're with them, and then just able to walk away. We don't want to experience the pain or whatever intent there is.
We feel more comfortable. Problem solved.
Yeah. I think that's the big deal with that.
Yeah. It then another negative side too, of course, if we are able to say these and it brings connection because we understand it, that just absolutely implies that there are others who won't understand it and therefore they don't belong.
Right. Yeah.
When we're saying those
same
things.
Opposite side of the same coin.
Right. Yeah. So it shows that, nope, you don't really belong here.
Yeah.
Which in many cases is not exactly what we're trying to convey or communicate.
Yeah. I think it's really funny. An analogy for this is because we've both spent significant time in the corporate world. So you talk about every organization. I remember there was one that I was working for that actually had a printed list of acronyms that they used. It was so helpful.
Yeah.
But you go into an organization, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to have the SMA connect to the TL thing over here. And you're like, and I just remember like anytime I first go into an organization, I just take notes of any time anybody says an acronym, especially one that gets repeated. I'm like, what does this mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it becomes ingrained because like you said, the shorthand, if you try and explain what it is every single time, like your conversation's going to hit a grinding halt.
Right.
Same is true for us. If we say like, oh, I'll pray for you, like we're not going to walk through like, oh, I'm going to go petition God for you and hopefully God will do this and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I'm with you and all of these things. Like it is shorthand. So it's kind of like that corporate culture. But if you're coming in and everybody else is using the same language, but you have no idea what language they're using or what they're talking about, like it is exclusionary.
It is. Yeah.
And sometimes that's helpful and sometimes it's not. But that's what we're going to explore.
Yeah.
With each of these.
I think there's richness in each one of these available to us.
Yeah.
And some cautions as well.
So as we go through each of these individual sayings, our goal is, number one, we're going to explore how did it come about? Like what's its root? Is it biblical? Is it not biblical? Like is it found in the Bible? We get more explicit about that. Is it found in the Bible? Is it not? Is it an idea from the Bible? Or how did it come to be? Two, what we're going to do is we're going to talk through what do people actually mean when they say this thing? Good intent, bad intent, multiple meanings for some of the things. Three, is it helpful? Is it not helpful? And four, if necessary, what's something that's more helpful to replace it with? So if that sounds interesting to you, send us your Christianese phrases. We got a list of them that we're going to compile over the next couple of weeks. So excited to dive into this with you. Like I said, email us at info@humanproject.us for ideas. Like I said, these are going to be shorter episodes than what we normally do. So hopefully you enjoy and find value. And also it causes you to explore and think, when am I using Christianese phrases and is it the most helpful thing? So see you as we dive into the next one. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in today. Our team is made up of myself, Chris Conlin, and Mark Wavle, and our lead editor is Derek Donley. We're a crowd-funded nonprofit. Our free resources exist because of your generous support. To learn more about us or to check out the classes that we talk about here, visit us at www.humanproject.us. Thanks for joining us on our mission to bring 1 million lives closer to the fullness of God's design.